Hey everyone, What If Fan here, bringing you another exciting part of What If Natsu had dual elements. You can find the fanfic title and the original author's name on my Patreon page. Make sure to check it out and show them some love. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Quick update. What if Dragon Deck user in Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal and What if Reborn as a Goku clone are now on hold, since we've caught up with the author. So now, I need your help picking the next project for the channel. I'm currently deciding between these three fanfics. What if Gacha system in Modern Family World? What if Fusion Deck user in a different Yu-Gi-Oh! GX? What if Transmigrated in One Piece and becoming a Marine? Please vote in the poll and let me know which story you'd like to see next. I'll take the top 2 picks and start working on those 2 series next. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. Alright, let's jump into it. Chapter 16, Jupiter. The next day, forest outside Magnolia. Stupid old man. Poorly Yusuka, Fairy Tail's main physician, mumbled to herself as she mixed a potion. The pink-haired woman had a frown on her face, while she poured more ingredients into her potion. Poorly Yusuka was a specialist in healing magical wounds, but she despised humans, so she moved deep into the forest by herself. Despite her hatred for humans, Poorly Yusuka could not turn away the fairy tale that brought a battered Makarov to her door. When the potion was finished, Poorly Yusuka set it down on a nearby table. Continuing to grumble to herself, Poorly Yusuka walked up to Makarov and slapped him across the face. "Oi! Take it easy!" Alzak exclaimed with a concerned look on his face. "What are you doing to our master, I mean your patient?" Biska shouted in an angry tone. The green-haired cowgirl glared at the pink-haired healing mage. TCH, he rushed into that battle without even considering his age, and look at him now. He really is such a foolish man. Poorly Yusuka said, staring down at the incapacitated Makarov. Suddenly the pink-haired woman whipped around, and glared daggers at Biska and Alzak. "How long are you humans gonna stay here? Leave already." "No. Well, we're worried about our master's condition." Alzak stammered out, as he scratched his chin. "Please, Poorly Yusuka-san, allow us to look after him for a while." Biska pleaded, clasping her hands in front of her chest. "We're really concerned. Go home." Poorly Yusuka ordered, turning her back on the fairy tale mages. Biska opened her mouth to shout at the woman, but Alzak quickly stopped her. "Your worried faces are like salt in a patient's wounds." Poorly Yusuka sighed as she stared down on Makarov's weak form. "This is wind lineage magic. Whoever did this to Makarov completely drained him of his magical power. As soon as his magic was drained, it floated into the air, and eventually disappeared. If we could have gathered some of Makarov's magical power before it disappeared, we could heal him faster. But it's far too late now, which means this will take a while." "Aye, is that so?" Biska asked, earning a nod from the healing mage. "We'll tell everyone else then." "What the hell are you still doing here?" Poorly Yusuka shouted, startling the fairy tale mages. "We thought you wanted us to hear what you had to say," Alzak exclaimed, as he hid behind Biska. "Go home already. You humans smell disgusting." Poorly Yusuka screamed, grabbing a nearby broom and wildly swinging it at Biska and Alzak. "Kia! Excuse us!" Biska yelled, as she began to push Alzak out of Poorly Yusuka's home. "Come on Alzak, move you ass." "I'm going," Alzak exclaimed, sprinting out of the house with Biska right behind him. When Poorly Yusuka was sure Biska and Alzak were gone, she sighed and turned back to Makarov. "You've caused so much trouble since the old days," Poorly Yusuka said in a low tone, her eyes full of sadness. "For mages, their magic is like their life source. The greater the magical power one possesses, the more magical drain hurts. If you don't fight your hardest, you could die like this." Poorly Yusuka released a shaky breath, and gently placed a hand on Makarov's shoulder. "You're really an idiot, please pull through, your children, they're scared and hurt, please they need you now more than ever. Remains of the Fairy Tale Guild Hall. Shit that hurts. Nab shouted, as a fellow guild member wrapped bandages around his wounds. I can't believe we had to retreat. It's so embarrassing. We couldn't avenge Levi and the others. Damn it. At least Natsu managed to beat up that Gajeel asshole pretty good. This all my fault. Lucy thought, hanging her head in shame. The blonde could feel tears stinging the corners of her eyes as she listened to her guildmates. Lucy began to tremble slightly, trying to hold back her tears. However, Lucy gasped when she suddenly felt a strong hand gently squeeze her shoulder. Turning her head, Lucy saw Natsu staring back at her. The pink-haired dragon slayer had a concerned look on his face. You okay, Luce? Natsu asked in a soft tone, giving Lucy's shoulder another light squeeze. It killed the dragon slayer to see Lucy so sad, so he was doing everything in his power to comfort her. I'm here for you, you know that, right? You're always there for me, Natsu. In the short time we've been together, you've cared for me more than anybody else I know. Lucy thought, as she slowly nodded her head. That's one of the reasons I love you. Hey, are you all right, Lucy? Gray asked, as he and Elfman walked up to the duo. Are you still worried? And no. I'm not worried, it's just... Lucy's expression saddened again, as she clenched her fists tightly in her lap. I'm so sorry. Well, daughters of rich families are prime targets. Elfman said, crossing his arms over his broad chest. But it's a man's duty to protect them. Don't say shit like that, you idiot. Gray hissed, as he punched Elfman in the arm. But I'm confused too. Happy said, looking up the blonde celestial spirit mage. Lucy, why did you hide who you really were from us? I wasn't really hiding it, Natsu already knew, and I was planning to tell you eventually, but I ran away from home, so I didn't really feel like talking about it. Lucy explained, as her face suddenly contorted in anger. My father never gave a shit about me, even after I ran away over a year ago, and now he wants me back all of a sudden. Father did all this to us, so that he can get me back. He's horrible. Lucy let out a shaky breath, and her saddened expression returned. Although all of this happened because I ran away from home in the first place, it's all my fault. And no, that's not true. Your father is the bad one. Elfman exclaimed, trying in vain to cheer Lucy up. Elfman, you idiot! Gray shouted, punching Elfman in the arm again. I mean, it's all because of Phantom Lord. Elfman quickly corrected his mistake. No, it's because of my selfish actions, I can't believe I caused everyone so much trouble. Lucy said, as her shoulders sagged. I'm really sorry. Everything should go back to normal if I go back home, right? Like hell it will. Lucy was surprised by the sudden exclamation. She looked up to see Natsu grinning brightly at her. Things could never go back to normal without you, Luce. Lucy's eyes widened when she heard Natsu say this. I mean, the term lady doesn't really fit you. You belong in this nasty old bar, laughing and happily going on adventures with Urza and I. The dragon slayer approached the blonde, and once again placed his hand on her shoulder. You say wanted to stay here? It won't do you any good to return to a place you hate. Natsu's grin suddenly widened, and he jabbed his thumb towards his heart. You're Lucy of Fairy Tale now, right? You're a part of our family. This is your home. Natsu. Lucy's breath hitched, as she felt tears begin to stream down her cheeks. The blonde had been completely moved by the dragon slayer's heartfelt words. I don't know what I'd do without you, Natsu. I'd be lost if you weren't by my side. Choking back a sob, Lucy covered her face with her hands. Let it all out, Luce. Natsu said softly, patting the blonde's back. Next to Natsu and Lucy, Elfman was crying as well. TCH, don't cry, it doesn't suit you at all. Gray chastised with an annoyed look. He's right. Elfman exclaimed, as he continued to cry. Men are weak to tears. Gray simply grimaced and returned to comforting Lucy. Across the room, Kana's face scrunched up in irritation as she stared at her tarot cards. The brunette card mage was sitting on the floor, trying to locate Mystigan using her cards, but she wasn't coming up with anything. Kana's brow furrowed as she studied each card carefully. Moments later, Kana growled angrily and swiped the cards away with a huff. It's no good. I can't find Mystigan using my damn cards. Kana shouted in anger as she placed her hands on her lap. Before Kana could say any more, she heard Mira Jane speak up from behind her. I see. Kana turned around to see Mira Jane speaking into a communication lacrima. That's too bad. Lucy is their target, so they'll definitely come attack us again. So many are injured, we'll be in a tough spot. Master is seriously injured. We can't find Mystigan. And no one has seen Gildarts in years. You're our only hope. Mira Jane had an annoyed look on her face as she stared at the face in the communication lacrimia. Laxus. The white-haired barmaid didn't really want to ask Laxus for help, but they were seriously low on manpower, and they could use all the help they could get. Ha! Laxus sneered, giving Mira Jane a fake confused look. Psi asterisk, please come back, it's an emergency, Laxus. Mira Jane pleaded as she clasped her hands in front of her chest. Ha ha. Serves that old geezer right. Laxus laughed, earning him a harsh glare from Mira Jane. It doesn't concern me at all. I really could care less about what happens to this Lucy girl. You all can take care of it yourselves. Laxus. Kana yelled as she shot to her feet. You piece of shit. The old geezer started this fight. Why should we have to clean up his mess? Laxus asked nonchalantly with a shrug of his shoulders. Didn't you hear me? They're targeting Lucy, one of our Nakama. Mira Jane said in an upset tone, once again glaring at Laxus. Who's that? Oh wait, she's that big-titted newbie, right? Laxus asked, causing Natsu to perk up from across the room. Tell her if she becomes my whore, I'll help out. Natsu's eyes widened in fury when he heard this. The pink-haired dragon slayer's fists clenched as he slowly walked towards Mira Jane. And tell that old shit to hurry up and retire, so he can make me the new master. How dare you, you fucking monster! Kana snarled as she clenched her teeth in anger. Hey now, is that how you talk to someone when you're asking a favor? Laxus asked, his tongue hanging out the side of his mouth. Why don't you both strip for me? I'm pretty weak for sexy dash. Listen here, you son of a bitch. Natsu snarled, suddenly standing in front of the communication lacrima. You better shut your big fucking mouth right now. Oh, that's pretty big talk coming from you. Laxus taunted with a massive smirk on his face. When you get back from whatever fucking job you're on, I'm going to destroy you. Natsu said in an icy tone, getting closer to the lacrima. I can't forgive you for insulting Lucy, Mira, Kana, and Ji-chan. So, I'm going to break you, Laxus. When I'm through with you, you'll begging for me to kill you. Natsu could swear that he saw real fear flash in Laxus' eyes. You better prepare yourself, Laxus, because no one is going to stop me from kicking the shit out of you next time. However, maybe just maybe, if you come back and help us out, and you apologize to Lucy, Mira, and Kana, I might let what you said slide, and I won't have to make you beg for mercy. Laxus looked like he was about to say something, but Natsu quickly cut him off. But, if you don't come back. What I said holds true, and I will destroy you next time we meet. Whoa, I've never seen Natsu act like this. Kana thought, as a faint blush spread across her face. I can't believe he's standing up for me like this, maybe he's not such a kid after all. TCH, good fucking luck, you little punk. I'm the strongest person in the guild, and I could take you down with my eyes closed. Laxus said, trying his best to recompose himself. He would never admit it, but what Natsu had said had truly scared him. The cold and emotionless tone the dual Dragon Slayer used caused a shiver to run down Laxus' spine. You're all on your own, I want nothing to do with your petty fucking dash. Laxus' communication was cut off when Mira smashed the lacrima with her bare hand. Mira! Kana said in a shocked tone. I cannot believe such a disgusting person is a member of Fairy Tail. Mira Jane said, as angry tears poured from her eyes. Fine. Next time, I'm joining the fight too. Oh, Mira, take it easy now. Natsu said, placing a hand on the white-haired barmaid's shoulder. The dual dragon slayer had a concerned look on his face. I know how badly you want to fight Mira, but you can't right now. Yeah, what are you talking about? Kana exclaimed in a shocked tone. Lucy, she was kidnapped while I was still here. I didn't even notice. I should have tried to help her. Mira Jane cried, as tears continued to pour from her eyes. Mira, you need to calm down. You'd just be a burden to the others in your current situation. Kana said in a soothing tone, placing her hand on Mira Jane's other shoulder. Even thought you're a former S-class mage. I know you're upset, Mira, but please don't blame yourself. Natsu said, pulling the barmaid in for a comforting hug. Remember you told me the same thing a few days ago when this whole mess started. We need everyone to be strong, and we can't have you breaking down right now. Thank you, Natsu. You're always there to comfort me and give me the strength to carry on. Mira Jane thought, as she returned Natsu's embrace. Fairy Hills Dormitory. Urza let out a deep sigh, as she stood under the hot water in her shower. The scarlet-haired knight needed to clear her head, so she decided to run home and take a quick shower. Urza ran her hands through her scarlet locks, as she stared at the ceiling above. Her thoughts lingered on the battle with Phantom Lord the previous day. Master is injured, Laxus and Mystigan aren't here. We have so many injured. I'm the only S-class mage here. The only other person even close to strength is Natsu, but even with the both of us it's impossible to continue fighting. Urza suddenly punched the wall of her shower, remembering how she had let Makarov go after Jose by himself. If only I had went with him. God, I'm pathetic. It's all no, Natsu wouldn't want me blaming myself for this. Come Urza, pull yourself together. Urza was torn from her thoughts when the ground beneath her began to shake. What the hell? Turning off the water, Urza quickly dried off and got dressed. Seconds later she burst out of her room, and was sprinting towards Fairy Tail. Back at the guild hall. What the fuck is going on? Natsu exclaimed, as the entire guild hall began to shake. Everyone get outside quick! Alzak shouted from the stairway. Everyone followed Alzak out behind the guild. What they saw shocked them all to the core. Walking across the water towards Fairy Tail was a massive building, with 6 legs sprouting from its base. Spattered across the building's exterior was Phantom Lord's guild mark. Everyone stared at the approaching building with wide eyes. This was the scene that Urza saw when she reached Fairy Tail. What the hell is that thing? It's a walking fucking guild. That's got to be Phantom Lord. I never imagined they'd attack us like this. Urza said, as she broke out in a cold sweat. What should we do? Standing at the top of Phantom Lord's guild hall, Jose looked down at the gathered Fairy Tail mages. Jose had a furious look on his face, as he glared at the figures gathered below. Prepare to fire Jupiter. Jose ordered, veins bulging along his face. Wipe their pathetic guild off the map. Urza's eyes widened when she saw Jupiter extend out of the approaching guild hall. Seeing that the massive cannon was preparing to fire, Urza immediately sprang into action. This isn't good. Urza yelled, turning to her nakama gathered behind her. Everyone get down now. What are going to do? Don't do anything stupid, Urza. Urza paid no mind to the shouts behind her as she ran forward. Re-equip. The scarlet-haired knight's body began to glow brightly, a new pair of armor adorning her body. This new armor was bulky and darkly colored. The first part of the armor consisted of a lower plate that covered Urza's stomach and most of her chest. The plate bore a simple diamond in striped pattern engraved into it near the top. On top of that lies another plate which hung from her neck and went down to her midsection. Extending over this top plate were 4 round, metallic extensions which attached underneath the plate around her neck. The neck featured a large cylindrical plate which was sectioned off into 6 progressively larger sections. Around each shoulder were very large shoulder guards with 4 distinct sections, with a large spike jutting off to separate each section from the next. The armor also featured large gauntlets which were sectioned similarly to the rest of the armor, the sections becoming smaller as the gauntlets moved in towards her hands. Underneath the bottom chest plate was a skirt bearing a woven pattern. The edge of her skirt bore small spikes, and one larger spike hung beneath every other small one. Several curved spikes jutted out from the outward-facing sides of her greaves. Lastly, atop her head sat a large, spiked headdress. Adamantine armor. Urza roared, as she took a defensive stance. I won't let you destroy our home, you bastards. Don't tell me she's gonna try to stop that attack? Even with that armor's amazing defensive powers, that's insane. No! Urza, you'll die. Urza! Natsu shouted, as his heart thundered in his chest. The Dragon Slayer tried to rush over to the scarlet-haired knight, but Gray stopped him. Gray! Let me go now. Natsu! You have to believe in Urza. Gray exclaimed, trying his best to hold Natsu back. However, Gray gasped when he saw the look Natsu gave him. The Dragon Slayer's eyes were full of worry. I do believe in her. But we're a team, and I'm not going to abandon her now. I'm going to help her. Natsu shouted, as he shook out of Gray's grasp. Keep everyone back. Urza and I will handle this. Natsu! Lucy yelled, trying to run after the Dragon Slayer. But Gray quickly stopped her. You heard Natsu, they'll take care of this. Gray said, holding onto Lucy's shoulder. I know you want to help them, Lucy, but this way above you right now. We just have to believe in those two. Natsu. Lucy thought, as she watched Natsu run up to Urza. I thought I told you all to get. Urza turned to see who was approaching her, but her eyes widened when she saw that it was Natsu. Stay back. I don't want you to get hurt. I'm not leaving Urza. It's pretty much suicide for you to try to stop that thing by yourself. Natsu said, placing his hands on Urza's shoulders. Let me help you. Urza's eyes widened when she felt Natsu's magic start to enter her body. Natsu, this has never worked, we've tried dozens of times, but each time we've failed. Just trust me. Urza stopped dead in her tracks when she heard this. The Dragon Slayer's eyes were closed in concentration, as he continued to pump his magic into Urza. It will work this time. Okay, we'll try this one more time. Urza thought, turning back forward. This better work, Natsu. Because if it doesn't, you'll be hurt far worse than I will. Urza could feel her magic trying to combine with Natsu's. The dual Dragon Slayer's magic was usually very chaotic and unpredictable, which made it nearly impossible for it to meld with someone else's magic. But this time, Urza could sense that Natsu's magic was much calmer and more focused. Come on, Natsu. Give me everything you've got. She suddenly felt encompassed by an overwhelming warmth, as Natsu's magic began to combine with her own. Both Urza and Natsu's breathing and heartbeats were in sync, their magic now fully intertwined. Everyone gasped when a wall of flames coated both mages. Urza's eyes widened when she didn't feel the heat of the flames that covered her body. She could feel Natsu's magic freely flowing with her own in perfect harmony. We actually did it. What's happening? Lucy asked in a stunned tone. I don't believe it, they did a unison raid. Mira Jane gasped, as she stared at the duo with wide eyes. It's incredible. They're amazing. Lucy thought, staring at Natsu and Urza in awe. I hope I can become strong like them one day. You ready, Urza? Natsu asked, his eyes still closed in concentration. Yeah, let's do this. Urza exclaimed, just as Jupiter began to charge up. Everyone get back now. That thing is about to fire. All of the fairy tale mages heeded Urza's words of caution, and moved as far back as they could. Moments later, Jupiter fired a massive beam of magical energy at the gathered fairy tale mages. Urza's back muscles tensed, as Jupiter's shot rapidly approached. Get ready, Natsu. Rag-ha. Natsu and Urza roared, pumping out as much of their magic as they could. The flames surrounding both mages tripled in size, creating a massive wall of fire. Fire Dragon's blazing armor. Mere seconds later, Jupiter struck the enormous wall of flames. However, to everyone's shock, the flames, enhanced by the massive defensive power from Urza's armor, seemed to be holding Jupiter back. What? Jose roared, watching his most powerful weapon be stopped by two mere mages. Natsu! I don't know how much longer I can keep this up. Urza shouted, as bits of her armor started to fall off. The scarlet-haired knight could feel her magic rapidly draining. Her body began to shake, as most of her energy was quickly used up. However, Urza was suddenly reinvigorated when she felt another burst of Natsu's magic flow into her. Don't give up! Natsu screamed over the howling sounds that were created by the two dueling spells. More and more pieces of Urza's armor began to peel off, as both mages continued to battle against Jupiter. Just a little longer. This is impossible! Jose exclaimed, completely dumbfounded by what he was seeing. How can those fairy bastards be stopping my most powerful weapon? That's it. Natsu! I can't hold it any longer. Urza yelled, as she flew back into Natsu's arms. Just as the wall of fire disappeared, Jupiter finished firing and ran out of energy. The Dragon Slayer caught Urza, and gently started to lower her to the ground. The scarlet-haired knight's armor was in tatters and she was panting heavily, but aside from extreme exhaustion, Urza was relatively unscathed. Natsu, however, took a slightly harder beating. Since the Dragon Slayer wasn't wearing any type of armor, he took dozens of hits from flying debris and shrapnel. Scattered across Natsu's body were dozens of cuts, but the Dragon Slayer hardly noticed as he held Urza. The scarlet-haired knight had a smile on her face, as she turned to look at Natsu. Pant we, did it, Pant Natsu. Yeah, we did, Urza. Natsu said, flashing Urza a toothy grin. Aside from his cuts, Natsu looked as if he hadn't broken a sweat. Muttering broke out amongst the fairy tale mages, as they stared at Natsu and Urza in shock. They stopped it, it's incredible. Both of them saved us. But it looks like Urza won't be able to fight for a while. Damn those fairy bastards. Jose thought, as he angrily grabbed the microphone next to him. First Makarov, now Urza is unable to fight. Jose's voice echoed out from Phantom Lord's mobile guild. None of you stand a chance now. Hand over Lucy Heartfilia. Right. Now. They're trying to take your mate away from you once again. Natsu's fists clenched tightly, hearing one of the growling voices in his head. They must be punished. The other voice said with a snarl. You're out of your fucking mind. Alzak shouted, causing a resounding cheer from the other fairy tale mages. There's no way we're just gonna hand over one of our nakama. Biska screamed, as she rallied behind Alzak. Yeah. Lucy's our nakama, we'd never abandon her. Macau yelled, which caused several other fairy tale mages to make their voice heard. That's right. Get the hell out of here, you phantom bastards. We'll never hand over Lucy. Lucy began to shake slightly, as she listened to all of her nakama come to her defense. The blonde celestial spirit mage could feel tears forming in her eyes, so she quickly moved a hand across her eyes to wipe away the forming tears. Hand her over. Jose demanded in a serious tone. We'd rather die than hand over one our own. Urza screamed, earning another resounding cheer from the rest of the fairy tale mages. Our answer will never change, you bastard. Natsu roared, his face contorted in anger, veins bulging on his forehead. We'll kick your asses. The Dragon Slayer was panting heavily, as he felt intense rage coursing through his body. You'll never take Lucy away from me. Most of the fairy tale mages didn't pay too close attention to Natsu's words, as they let out another loud cheer. However, what Natsu said wasn't missed by Lucy. Natsu, do you love me too? Lucy thought, as tears finally began to pour from her eyes. The blonde tried her best to suppress her sobs, but it was in vain. I know you'll save me, Natsu, no matter what the odds are. I see. Jose said calmly, as he clenched his teeth in anger. Then I'll fire an even bigger and more powerful Jupiter. Now endure these 15 minutes of hell until we can fire again. What? Jupiter. Can fire again. Shit. Gray cursed as he turned his gaze towards Natsu and Urza. While the Dragon Slayer looked like he was ready to fight, Urza was still panting heavily and looked as if she could barely move. There's no way they could stop another one of those shots. Suddenly a massive magic circle formed over Phantom Lord's guild hall. Dozens of shadowy figures poured out of the magic circle and began to fly towards the fairy tale mages. What? Their soldiers are coming after us now. No way. Aren't they going to fire Jupiter again? These guys have no mercy. Prepare to feel unrelenting pain, fairy tale. Jose's voice echoed out from the mobile guild once again. You have two choices. Be slaughtered by my soldiers, or be blown away by Jupiter. Impossible. Is he going to kill his own men as well? He's obviously bluffing. Yes, he will. Kana said, shocking all of the mages. Those soldiers were created by Jose's shade magic. They're not human. They're just ghost puppets that Jose created. Kana's brows furrowed as she gazed at the massive cannon staring them down. We have to do something about Jupiter. I'll go smash it into pieces. Natsu exclaimed, punching an electrified fist into his palm. I need teach these bastards a lesson. Natsu. Kana said, as she scanned over the Dragon Slayer's numerous wounds. You're hurt. Let's get you some first aid before you run off. No. Natsu said, pressing a flaming hand over his cuts. The Dragon Slayer hissed in pain as he cauterized his wounds. Panned 15 minutes, right? Natsu's skin was smoking as his wounds closed. I'll get it done. Natsu spun around and waved Happy over. Happy. Let's get going. Aye, sir. Happy cheered, picking Natsu up and flying him towards Phantom Lord's guild hall. Stay safe, you idiot. Kana thought with a small smile as she watched Natsu and Happy fly off. We're all counting on you. Elfman. Let's help Flame Brain out. Gray shouted, running after Natsu. Let's do this. Elfman roared as he followed closely behind Gray. Loke and I will stay back and help bolster out defenses. All right? Kana called out to the three mages. Yeah, let's get to work. Loke said, walking up next to Kana. As Loke prepared to fight, he turned his head to look at Lucy. The blonde had a slight blush on her as she finished wiping away her tears. However, Lucy gasped when Mira Jane suddenly grabbed her hand. Lucy! Come with me. Mira Jane said as she began to drag Lucy off. We have a secret hideout. We'll keep you there until this war is over. But, Lucy said, tearing her hand away from Mira Jane's. I have to fight with everyone else. It's my fault all of this is happening. No, Lucy. Mira Jane said as she shook her head. No one thinks that. We're doing this for our nakama who were defeated, for our guild, and to protect you. Everyone's proud to be fighting in this war. Lucy suddenly turned her gaze towards her feet. So please listen to me. Alright. Before Lucy could say any more, she felt a burst of magic hit her face, and her entire world went black. The blonde celestial spirit mage collapsed into Mira Jane's arms. Mira Jane quickly handed Lucy over to Ritas. Ritas! Take Lucy to our hideout. Mira Jane ordered, as Ritas rapidly drew a horse-drawn carriage on his large stomach. A large poof of smoke exploded out, before the carriage appeared in front of Ritas. We're counting on you. We. Ritas said, loading Lucy into the carriage and racing off down the street. I don't have any more power to fight. Mira Jane thought, as she transformed into a mirror image of Lucy. But I'll protect my nakama at all costs. Mira Jane's eyes hardened, while she watched her nakama battle Jose's ghost soldiers. We have 14 minutes until Jupiter fires again, Natsu, we're counting on you. Mira Jane quickly grabbed Urza and lead her into the guild. The fighting continued outside the guild hall. Magic shots rang out from Biska and Elzac's guns, and walls of sand swirled around Max. A Phantom Lord Ghost Soldier was about to get the jump on Max, but 4 cards impaled themselves in the Phantom's face. Seconds later the cards exploded, completely disintegrating the ghost. Max turned around to see Kana land next to him. "Sorry, Kana," Max said, wiping sweat off his brow. "Just stay focused, Max." Kana shouted over the raging battle, throwing another set of explosive cards at another batch of phantoms. "We have to protect the guild at all costs." The cards exploded, taking out all of the ghosts. They haven't felt the sadness of losing Nakama, or the pain of having their guild destroyed. "We won't let these scum take down our guild." From the second floor of the guild hall, Mira Jane watched the battle unfold down below. Next to Mira Jane sat Urza. The scarlet-haired knight was barely conscious, as she regained her lost magical energy. Mira Jane cast a glance over at Urza and sighed. "Only 9 more minutes until Jupiter strikes. Phantom Lord's Mobile Guild. Natsu, are you really gonna try to destroy that thing?" Happy asked, as they landed on top of Jupiter's barrel. "I hate to admit it, buddy, but there's no way I'm gonna put a dent in this thing from out here." "But," Natsu said, poking his head into Jupiter's barrel. He smirked when he saw a light at the very end of the barrel. "It looks like we can get in from here." The Dragon Slayer quickly climbed into the barrel, with Happy following close behind him. Natsu quickly crawled down the barrel towards the light at the end. When the pink-haired Dragon Slayer reached the end of the barrel, his eyes widened when he saw a massive lacrima in the middle of the room before him. "Damn, I've never seen a lacrima this big before." The Dragon Slayer grinned as he jumped out of Jupiter's barrel. "Well, smash this thing up." "I'm afraid I can't let you do that," a voice said from Natsu's side. "Looks like there's a guard," Happy exclaimed, as Natsu began to charge towards where the voice had come from. "Who cares? I'll smash anyone who gets in my way," Natsu roared, coating his fist in red-hot flames. "I have to stop you," the voice said, as Natsu drew ever closer. "Get out of my way," Natsu yelled, his fist shooting forward. The Dragon Slayer's eyes widened when he lost control of his fist, and it smashed into his own face. "Natsu! What the heck are you doing?" Happy exclaimed, running up to Natsu. "My body just moved on its own," Natsu growled, as he rubbed his sore cheek. "TCH, you're the one getting in our way," the voice said, as the assailant stepped into view. Natsu's opponent was a man his height with white and black hair done up in a top knot. He also sported a black horizontal marking across the bridge of his nose and along his cheeks. "Move, you piece of shit! I'm destroying this cannon!" Natsu exclaimed, taking a fighting stance. "Natsu, if you destroy that lacrima they won't be able to fire Jupiter," Happy explained, as he hovered over Natsu. "I said I won't let you, didn't I?" the unnamed man asked, tilting his head. "I don't have time for this talking bullshit," Natsu roared, as he charged towards the man. The Dragon Slayer's fist became engulfed in flames, as he lunged at his enemy. Fire Dragon's Natsu was cut off when his own fist crashed into his face once again. "Damn it, it happened again. Natsu! You don't have time for this guy," Happy exclaimed in a panicked tone. "You've got to destroy this lacrima as fast as possible. You bastard!" Natsu shouted, shooting towards the man once again. However, the man dodged Natsu's strike and kneed him in the stomach. All the air left the Dragon Slayer's lungs, as he was sent skidding back. "I'm Totamaru, and I have control over fire magic," the now-named Totamaru said, looking down at Natsu. "All flames are controlled by me." "Just flames, huh? How about lightning?" Natsu asked, slowly standing back onto his feet. Totamaru's eyes widened when he saw Natsu's body become completely engulfed in lighting. "Eh?" Totamaru said, taking a step back. "Wait. You're Fairy Tail's dual Dragon Slayer." Yep. I can use fire and lightning. Natsu roared, as his cheeks began to bulge with electricity. Lightning Dragon's Roar. A large stream of concentrated lightning fired from Natsu's mouth, and completely engulfed Totamaru. When Natsu's lightning died down, Totamaru was a charred and sparking mess. After a few moments later, Totamaru collapsed to his knees, twitching slightly every now and then as Natsu's lightning continued to course through his body. Now time to deal with this thing. Wheeling around, Natsu's gathered a large amount of lightning in both his hands. With lightning in my left hand, and lightning in my right, together they make Lightning Dragon's Brilliant Flash. Natsu clapped his hand together, causing a deafening thunderclap to echo throughout the room. A massive ball of lightning formed in Natsu's hands, and he threw it at Jupiter's lacrima. When the ball of lightning struck the lacrima, a blinding flash filled the room, as the lightning exploded outwards. The room then began to shake, as Jupiter's lacrima began to crumble and collapse. Battle outside the Fairy Tale Guild Hall. Everyone look. Whoa! Yeehaw! The cannon is collapsing. All right. Ha ha. Don't underestimate Natsu. A loud cheer sprang out amongst the fairy tale mages that were left to defend the guild hall. Reinvigorated at the sight of Jupiter's destruction, the fairy tale mages continued to ward off Jose's phantom soldiers. Great job, Natsu. Kana said under her breath, a slight blush spread across her face. The brunette card mage then turned to rally her nakama. Now we have nothing left to fear. Destroy the enemy. Back inside Jupiter's lacrima chamber. Way to go, Natsu. Happy cheered, happily flying around the Dragon Slayer. It was nothing buddy. Natsu said, as wiped excess electricity from his mouth. The pink-haired Dragon Slayer then turned to face Totamaru, his eyes full of fury. Now it's my turn to crush you, Phantom Lord. I'm gonna destroy your guild piece by piece. The Dragon Slayer then began to menacingly advance towards Totamaru, lightning sparking off both of his fists. Starting with you. Hey master, this wasn't what you told me. Totamaru thought, as he started to shake in fear. I had no idea Fairy Tail still had such a powerful member. Chapter 17, Abyss Break. M. Master J. Jose. A Phantom Lord Mage stuttered out in fear, as he slowly approached Jose. Jupiter has been destroyed by a Fairy Tail Mage, from the inside. Those, disgusting, fairy bastards. Jose said, clenching his fists in rage. Activate, the Phantom MK2. Yes, Master. The Phantom Mage exclaimed, before he ran out of the room as fast he could. You will pay for this fairy tale. Jose said, clenching his teeth in anger. Down in Jupiter's lacrima room, Natsu grinned as he watched the lacrima begin to crumble to pieces. The Dragon Slayer's lightning attack had shattered the massive lacrima in a single blow. Way to go, Natsu. Happy cheered, as he happily flew around pink-haired Dragon Slayer. It was nothing buddy. Natsu said, wiping excess electricity from his mouth. The dual Dragon Slayer then turned to face Totamaru, his eyes suddenly full of fury. Now it's my turn to crush you, Phantom Lord. I'm gonna tear your guild apart piece by piece. The Dragon Slayer then began to menacingly advance towards Totamaru, lightning sparking off both of his clenched fists. Starting with you. Hey master, you never mentioned anything like this. Totamaru thought, as he began to shake in fear. I had no idea Fairy Tail still had such a powerful member. The fire manipulator gasped when Natsu raised him off the ground by his throat, the Dragon Slayer's hand tightly wrapping around his neck. Totamaru howled in pain as electricity from Natsu's hand coursed into his body. The Dragon Slayer cocked his fist back to finish Totamaru off, but he was stopped when the entire room suddenly began to shake. What's happening? Happy exclaimed, dodging some falling debris. He can't be planning on doing that. Totamaru exclaimed, as his eyes widened. This room has no means of staying horizontal. Horizontal? Natsu repeated in a confused tone. As soon as the Dragon Slayer said this, he was sent flying across the room as it suddenly became inverted. Totamaru managed to free himself from Natsu's grasp, and struggled to not be sent flying across the rotating room. Ugh, God, what the fuck is happening? Natsu's face started to turn green as his motion sickness started to kick in. It's finally finished, Todamaro said, as a smirk spread across his face. This is our guild's most powerful weapon. Super Mage Giant Phantom MK2. What the hell are you blabbering about? Natsu asked, managing to stand back up on wobbly legs. And, what's up with that stupid fucking name? Outside the Fairy Tale Guild Hall. Huh? The Guild Hall is standing up? What are they planning this time? All the Fairy Tale mages stared in shock as the Phantom Lord Guildhall raised itself out of the water. Their mouths were agape while they watched sections of the guild rotate and reposition themselves. They all broke out in a cold sweat when massive arms and legs sprouted out from the Guildhall. Finally, steam erupted out from the top of the guild as a head emerged. Before the Fairy Tale mages stood an enormous mechanized giant. WH. What the hell is that? Kana breathed out as she stared at the mechanical monstrosity with wide eyes. You've got to be fucking kidding me. It's a giant. Lok said, taking a fearful step back. Look out. It's coming this way. Is that thing going to trample the guild? Focus on the enemy in front of you, Kana exclaimed, trying to give hope to her nakama. Natsu will take out that giant monster for us. But Natsu's already in there, and that thing is a vehicle, Max pointed out, causing Kana to deadpan. Oh, that's right, Kana said, as she instantly deflated. It's up to Gray and Elfman to help that idiot out, we're so fucked. The brunette card mage gasped when she saw the mechanical giant begin to write symbols in the air. What's it doing? It looks like it's writing something. Wait, those are shit. This is getting really bad, Kana thought, recognizing what the giant monstrosity was writing. That's a magical seal. Their guild is a mage as well. What? That seal is Abyss Break. Mira Jane gasped as she realized the spell that the mechanical mage was casting. Isn't that a forbidden spell? Such a huge seal, this is really fucking bad, Lok said, gritting his teeth. The dark blast will level everything from here all the way to Cardia Cathedral. Natsu, Gray, Elfman, you're our only hope now, Kana thought, as she broke out in a cold sweat. Back in Jupiter's Lacrima room. *gag** shit, I ain't feeling too hot, Natsu groaned out, clutching his stomach in pain. The room was still shaking as the giant guild advanced towards Fairy Tale. Happy, find me something to barf into. What the hell is wrong with this guy? A minute ago he was being all badass, now he looks like he's about to lose his lunch, Todamaro said, as he stared at Natsu in confusion. Ugh, damn my motion sickness, why does this fucking room have to be moving? Natsu said, suddenly covering his mouth to stop himself from vomiting. He can't handle vehicles? Todamaro exclaimed, stupefied that such a powerful-looking mage could be crippled by something so trivial. The fire manipulator grinned evilly, as several different colored balls of fire formed in front of him. Now's my chance. It's my turn to kick your ass. Todamaru's grin widened when the balls of fire before him melded together to form a ball of rainbow-colored flames. You might be able to eat flames, but I wonder what will happen if you try to eat them like this. My ultimate attack, Rainbow Fire. *gag** ugh, I don't want to taste the rainbow, Natsu groaned, as his stomach rumbled loudly. /n I literally could not resist writing a Skittles reference XD. Take this, Todamaro roared, preparing to launch his most powerful attack. However, before the fire manipulator could cast his spell, his hands were suddenly frozen over. Ha! Wait! Before Todamaro could say any more, he was completely frozen solid. Natsu turned to see Elfman and Gray standing behind him. Elfman walked up to the frozen Todamaro and used his takeover magic to transform his arm. With his new monster-like arm, Elfman threw Todamaro through the room's ceiling. TCH, you really are pathetic, Natsu. Gray said, walking up to the dragon slayer with a dazed Happy in his arms. A vehicle shouldn't make a man sick, he should make them sick instead. Elfman exclaimed, as his arm returned to normal. That makes no sense. Gray said in an annoyed tone, pinching the bridge of his nose. Thanks you guys, I'm starting to feel a little better now. Natsu said, as his stomach stopped doing front flips. So? Gray said, gazing at the destroyed lacrima next to them. This is what's left of Jupiter. Not bad ash for brains. But why did the building suddenly start to move and lurch? Elfman asked, as he scratched the side of his head. I'll go outside and see what's going on. Happy cheered, flying out the newly made hole in the ceiling. Barely a minute later, Happy bolted back into room with a panicked look on his face. It's terrible. Phantom Lord's Guild has turned into a giant and is casting some type of forbidden spell. That's kinda hard to believe, buddy. Natsu said, quirking a pink eyebrow. Yeah, you probably just ate some bad fish and now you're seeing things. Gray said, as he stuck his hands in his pockets. I'm not lying. Happy exclaimed, wildly waving his paws around. I overheard Loke say that whatever spell this thing is casting will create a dark blast that will wipe everything out from here to Cardia Cathedral. That's half the town. Gray yelled, his eyes widening in shock. What type of spell could do that? Wait, forbidden spell, dark blast. Natsu said, as he racked his brain trying to figure out what the spell was. Suddenly the Dragon Slayer's eyes widened. He recalled a conversation he had with Mira Jane about forbidden spells a few months back. It has to be Abyss Break. Abyss Break? Gray parroted with a confused look. Mira mentioned it one time when we were talking about forbidden spells. Natsu explained, causing Gray and Elfman's eyes to widen. The spell can be cast immediately if the caster possess knowledge of the 4 basic elemental magics: fire, water, wind, and earth. But whatever this thing is hasn't used the spell yet. So that means there has to be 4 mages in this guild with control over the 4 basic elemental magics that are powering the spell. The Elemental 4. Gray exclaimed, as realization suddenly struck him. Exactly. Natsu cheered, punching a flaming fist into his palm. We already took down their fire mage. All we need to do is eliminate their water, earth, and wind mages. Then there won't be any elemental magic to power Abyss Break. Then let's split up and search for the last remaining members of the Elemental 4. Gray exclaimed, as he ran down a nearby hallway. This sounds like a job for a man. Elfman yelled, running down a separate hallway. We'll stop this thing and save the guild. Natsu shouted, as he sprinted down the last remaining hallway. Let's go, Happy. Aye, sir. Happy cheered, following closely behind Natsu. Lisanna, I'll keep our Nakama and our guild safe, this I swear. Battle outside the Fairy Tale Guild Hall. What the hell are we going to do? We'll just have to believe in Natsu and the others. We're so screwed. Mira. Kana said, walking up next to the blown-out window Mira Jane was standing behind. How long before that spell activates? I think, maybe about 10 minutes. Mira Jane replied, releasing a long sigh. I wonder if there's a way to destroy that thing's power source. Those guys inside that monster must be thinking the same thing. Kana thought, as she clenched her fists. I wish I could be in there helping too, but we need as many people out here as possible. Natsu's not the only one in there? Mira Jane asked, in a confused tone. She had only seen the pink-haired dragon slayer fly off to fight that giant. Who else could have gone? No. Gray and Elfman are in there too. Kana replied, causing Mira Jane's eyes to widen in shock. Elfman. Why? Mira Jane exclaimed, a panicked look spread across her face, which still mirrored Lucy's. Come on, Mira, don't act so surprised, Elfman is. He can't. Mira Jane shouted, looking at Kana through the busted window. Elfman can't fight. You should know that as well, Kana. Of course he can fight, he helped in the fighting the other day. Kana said, trying her best to reassure Mira Jane. It's one thing to fight a bunch of foot soldiers, Mira Jane said, as she looked down at her feet. But if he has to go up against one of the elemental four, the way he is now. Mira, Kana said, giving the barmaid a sympathetic look. I know you and Elfman suffered a lot when Lisanna passed away, but Elfman is trying to keep on pushing forward. Just like Natsu told me to do, I have to keep on moving forward. Mira Jane thought, as she tightly clenched her fists. If Elfman can keep on moving, I should be able to as well. Mira Jane prepared to head outside, but she was stopped when Urza grabbed her hand. Wait Mira, I'm coming too, Urza said, trying to stand back up on weary legs. Natsu needs us both. No. You still need to rest Urza, Mira Jane said, helping Urza lay back down. Please, Natsu wouldn't want you to strain yourself any further. TCH, I'm pathetic. Urza spat, as she glared at the ceiling overhead. I'm in here being useless when everyone else is out there fighting to protect our guild. Urza clenched her teeth in anger. I should be out there helping you, Natsu. Hush now, Urza, Mira Jane chastised with a small frown. You did an amazing job protecting the guild. Without you there wouldn't be a guild for us to defend. You deserve to rest for a bit. Mira Jane smiled and gently squeezed Urza's shoulder. Don't worry, you can go help Natsu as soon as you've fully recovered. Thanks Mira. Urza quietly, turning over in her makeshift bed. Stay safe out there, and don't worry about Elfman. Kana's right, he can fight. We've come a long way since we were kids, haven't we Urza? Mira Jane asked, as she stood back up. We sure have. I remember when we used to practically hate each other. Urza replied, a small smile gracing her face. Please Mira, stay safe. I'll be fine Urza, Mira Jane said, before she climbed out the busted window she had spoken to Kana through. Mira! Kana exclaimed, watching the barmaid climb out of the window. Mira-san! Stay back. It's too dangerous out here. Get back Mira-chan. I'm the one you're after, right? Mira Jane yelled, making her way towards the front lines. The barmaid was still transformed as Lucy, and she hoped that she could trick Phantom Lord. Stop attacking our guild right now. Mira Jane began to sweat, as the fighting slowly died down around her. That should buy Natsu and the other just a little time. Master, that's our target. A Phantom Lord mage exclaimed, gazing at the blonde mage through a pair of binoculars. No, it's not, you idiot. Jose grunted out, as he pushed past the mage and grabbed microphone next to him. Be gone, you little imposter. There's no way. Mira Jane thought, her eyes widening in shock. I've knew from the start that Lucy wasn't here. Jose explained in a menacing tone. There's no way that the person we're targeting would be sent onto the front lines. Damn. Kana muttered, as she clenched her fists in frustration. I'm sorry Natsu, everyone, I'm completely useless. Mira Jane thought, tears falling from her eyes. The white-haired barmaid's transformation had fallen, and she returned to her normal appearance. Seeing that Mira Jane was in distress, Kana walked up and wrapped an arm around her shoulder. Don't worry Mira, Kana said, glaring at the giant as it continued to draw its magical seal. Elfman can fight. Should we run for it? That magical seal looks like it's almost complete. You want to abandon the guild? Kana shouted, flashing a fierce glare at the distressed mages. Ah, no ma'am. Our Nakama are in there fighting for us too. Kana exclaimed, pointing at the giant before them. We have to have faith in them. Elfman, I believe in you, but you should be fighting. Mira Jane thought, clasping a hand over her heart. Suddenly Mira Jane gasped when she scooped up in one of the giant mage's hands. Ah! Mira! Mira-chan! You attempted to deceive us, I really don't like you girl. Jose said, a evil smirk spread across his face. I think I'll just crush you. Mira! Kana screamed, her eyes full of fear. Natsu, anybody, hear her please. Kana tried to rush forward, Loke grabbed her shoulder. Hurry up and stop this thing. Natsu. Gray. Elfman. Ah. Mirajane's pain screams echoed out, as the giant's hold on her slowly crushed her body. Running through the mechanical giant, Natsu suddenly came to a skidding stop. Several shouts and cries of pain stopping him in his tracks. That sounded like Mira screaming. Natsu, what's up? Happy asked, floating up next to the Dragon Slayer. One of your mates is in danger. You must save her now. Happy, we're making a quick detour. Natsu said, sprinting towards where he had heard Mirajane's screams come from. Oh, okay. Happy said in a confused tone, following after the Dragon Slayer. Don't worry, Mira, I'm coming to help you. Natsu thought, his body becoming engulfed in flames. Inside the Phantom Mage MK2. I, Elfman, will protect Fairy Tail and my sister with my very life. Elfman roared, as he ran down an ornately decorated hallway. Come out, you elemental 4 bastards. As if heeding his call, Elfman heard the ground behind him begin to creak. Looks like I've found one of you. Salet. Soul said with an eerie smile on his face. My name is Soul. You may address me as Monsieur Soul. Perfect timing. Elfman said, throwing off his cloak. I can take you down, and help me stop Abyss Break. Elfman held out his arm, and it quickly began to change. Beast arm, Black Bull. Oh. Soul said, cocking his head to the side. Will you be able to fight with just that one arm? A evil smirk spread across Soul's face, as he stared Elfman down. It seems that the rumors are true. I know all about you. Actually, my head is full of details on all of you fairy tale mages. Don't you ever shut the hell up? Elfman roared, swinging his transformed fist at Soul. But Soul easily slinked around the powerful attack. I do believe, you had a younger sister, no? Soul asked, causing Elfman's eyes to widen. This distraction gave Soul enough time to strike. Sable Dance. A whirlwind of sand instantly formed around Elfman, and began to attack him from all sides. Where did he go? Elfman shouted, as he was blinded by the raging sandstorm. Raj Concerto. Soul materialized out from the ground behind Elfman, throwing a barrage of large stones at the fairy tale mage. Elfman was sent skidding back by the torrent of stones, but the takeover mage managed to stop himself. Soul took this opportunity to taunt Elfman, while he still recovered. 2 years back, you attempted a full-body takeover, but it went horribly wrong. You went on a rampage, your precious little sister gave her life to stop your path of destruction, no? And the trauma from that incident has stopped you from performing a full-body takeover ever since. Shut the hell up. Beast arm, Iron Bull. Elfman roared, swinging his now metallic arm at Soul. However, the Elemental 4 member simply melted into the ground, easily dodging Elfman's attack. Soul suddenly appeared behind Elfman, and stretched his body to wrap around Elfman's arm. Gah, what, a disgusting guy. Non, that is nonsense with 3 nons. Soul exclaimed, as he continued to snake around Elfman's arm. Get the hell off me, muncher Soul. Elfman shouted, as he tried to yank Soul off his arm. It's Monsieur actually, you welch. Soul corrected, kicking Elfman square in the jaw. Elfman was sent crashing into the ground hard by Soul's kick. Oh? Is this battle already at its finale? This freak is way stronger than he looks. Elfman thought, as he wiped some blood from the corner of his mouth. Looks like I have no choice. The ground around Elfman began to tremble, as he attempted to perform a full-body takeover. However, an image of Lysana appeared in Elfman's mind, and his takeover began to falter. Elfman started to pant heavily, as his takeover completely failed. You should not attempt that which is impossible. You just wasted most of your magical energy on that failed attempt. Soul exclaimed, kicking Elfman in the chest. Plater Sonata. A large fist made out of earth and debris slammed into Elfman, and sent him crashing into a nearby wall. This is the power of the Elemental 4. A hole had been created in the wall, allowing Elfman to see what was happening outside. The takeover mage's eyes widened at what he saw. "Nei-chan! Natsu! I could really use your help, Elfman!" Natsu roared, as he tried to pry apart the hand that was crushing Mira Jane. 2 minutes earlier. Ah! Mira Jane screamed, the giant's hold on her tightening even more. It was now becoming hard for Mira Jane to breathe, and her breaths were becoming shallow and weak. Mira Jane's eyesight became foggy, as she felt her consciousness slowly slipping away. "Mira!" The white-haired barmaid's eyes shot open when she heard her name. Suddenly the wall behind her exploded in massive ball of fire. Through the roaring flames burst a pink-haired dragon slayer. "I finally found you." "Natsu?" Mira gasped, watching as the dragon slayer scrambled up the robotic arm that was holding her. "Are you okay, Mira?" Natsu asked, nearly out of breath, as he finally reached the white-haired barmaid. "Why yeah, just please get me out of here." Mira Jane struggled to say, the mechanical mage's grip crushing her even further. "All right. Hold on, I'll get you out." Natsu yelled, as he began to pry apart the fingers that were holding Mira Jane captive. However, Natsu only managed to move the fingers apart a few inches, which allowed Mira Jane to breathe easier. The dragon slayer's muscles bulged and veins popped along his arms and legs, as he poured every ounce of strength he had into moving the fingers farther apart. "Damn it! I can't move them anymore." Natsu wanted to use his flames to give him some more power, but Mira Jane was far too close and would be caught in the crossfire. "Shit! These fucking things won't budge anymore." "It's okay, Natsu," Mira Jane said, causing Natsu's head to snap towards her. "You can leave me here. You need to stop dash." "No!" Natsu roared, managing to move the fingers another inch. "I will not leave you here." The dragon slayer clenched his teeth, feeling his muscles burn under the intense strain. "I already lost Lisanna. I cannot and will not lose you too. Natsu," Mira Jane thought, as she felt tears sting her eyes. "Dig deep inside you. Drag out every ounce of strength you have. You must save her." The voices in Natsu's head shouted in unison. "Ra-ag!" Natsu roared, putting every last drop of strength he had into his arms and legs. But even with everything he had, Natsu still only managed to move the fingers another 2 inches. "Damn it! Move, you bastards! Someone fucking help me!" As if by divine intervention, an explosion rang out next to Mira Jane and Natsu. The pair turned to see Elfman gazing at them from a newly made hole in the wall. "Nei-chan? Natsu! Whoever is up there, thank you." Natsu thought, thanking every deity he could think of. "I could really use your help, Elfman." "Oh? It looks like your older sister is out there. She was once feared as the demon." "Ah, and it appears that pesky Dragon Slayer is out there as well." It would appear all of her magical power has dwindled, how unfortunate." Soul said, walking up to Elfman and stomping on his back. "I'm afraid Mira Jane-sama is currently being punished for deceiving us. She would be crushed by now, but that bothersome Dragon Slayer has interfered. As soon as I'm finished with you, I'll go deal with him." "Run, Elfman," Mira Jane said, feeling fresh tears form in her eyes as she watched Soul repeatedly kick Elfman. "Stop it. It doesn't matter what happens to me. Just leave Elfman alone." "Mira." Natsu breathed out, as he struggled to keep the giant fingers from tightening once again. "Damn it. If I go help Elfman, Mira will be crushed. But if I don't, he might end up dying. What the hell do I do?" "You'll have to go through that pain once again," Soul whispered in Elfman's ear. "First losing your younger sister, and then your older sister, both right before your eyes. Elfman, please just get out of here." Mira Jane screamed, tears now pouring from her eyes. I swore that I'd never see your tears again, Nei-chan," Elfman said through grit teeth. The takeover mage remembered the promise he had made on Lisanna's grave the day he had confronted Natsu. the Dragon Slayer's words still ringing clearly in his mind. So why are you crying? Elfman whirled around and punched Soul in the stomach. Who made you cry? The ground around Elfman began to tremble once again. Mira Jane's eyes widened when she saw what Elfman was attempting to do. You mustn't, Elfman. You can still only use one arm. Mira Jane yelled in a worried tone. She's right. Soul said, clutching his bruised stomach. It's not my fault Lisanna died. Elfman said, as an image of a younger Lisanna and Mira Jane appeared in his head. Natsu helped me realize this 2 years ago. But I was weak back then, and I did lose control that terrible day. I'd been afraid of my strength and my magic. I'd been so worried that I'd lose control again. Elfman's fists clenched tightly as he glared at Soul. I don't want to feel like that ever again. A massive amount of magical energy started to gather around Elfman. I want to be a man who is strong enough to protect you, Nachan. Mira Jane and Natsu's eyes widened as they watched Elfman's entire body begin to change. Don't worry, Nachan. Natsu. Hold on just a little longer. This isn't good. Soul said, breaking out in a cold sweat. Full body takeover, Beast Soul. Elfman roared, now fully transformed into a massive monster. Letting out a monstrous roar, Elfman charged toward Soul. Non. 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 Soul chanted as he attempted to flee from Elfman. However, Soul could not run away from Elfman's fury. The takeover mage caught up to Soul and assaulted him with a barrage of powerful punches and kicks. When Elfman was finally finished, Soul was unconscious and barely recognizable. In an instant Elfman was sprinting towards where Natsu and Mira Jane were. Hey! Mira Jane said, as she started to shake slightly. Can you hear me, Elfman? Mira Jane gasped when Elfman crashed down next to them. You haven't lost control again, have you? The white-haired barmaid's eyes widened when Elfman walked over to Natsu. You ready, Natsu? Elfman asked, causing a grin to spread across Natsu's face. Hell yeah! Let's get Mira out of here. Natsu cheered, finally managing to free Mira Jane with Elfman's help. Elfman grabbed Mira Jane and set her down safely on top of the giant's hand. I'm sorry, Nachan. Elfman said, avoiding Mira Jane's gaze. You probably never wanted to see this face again, but I had no choice. I had to become stronger to save you and help Natsu. It's fine, Elfman. Without you, Natsu and I would be in serious trouble. Mira Jane said with a warm smile. Damn straight! Natsu exclaimed, placing his hands on his hips. You came right in the nick of time, man. The Dragon Slayer suddenly turned his gaze back towards the giant mechanical mage behind them. Well, I better get back in there. We still need to take out 2 more of the Elemental 4. Wait, Natsu. Mira Jane called out, stopping the Dragon Slayer before he could take off. What is it, Mira? Natsu asked, raising a pink eyebrow. Thank you for helping save me. Mira Jane said sweetly, as she walked up to Natsu and placed a light kiss on his cheek. Now get back in there and go save the day. Alright, bye. Natsu yelled, racing back into Phantom Lord's Guild Hall. Mira Jane giggled when she spotted the massive blush that had spread across Natsu's face. Nachan? Elfman asked, as he wondered why his older sister's face was all red. Are you getting sick or something? No, I'm fine, Elfman. Mira Jane replied, trying to calm her own blush. But thank you for rescuing me. I'm still alive because of you and Natsu. Nachan. Elfman said, gazing down at his older sister. We made a promise, remember? Mira Jane asked, as she hugged her younger brother. That we'd live full lives, for Lisanna's sake. Nachan! Elfman exclaimed, tears pouring from his eyes. I'm so glad you're okay. Geez. Mira Jane said with a small smile, as she released Elfman from her embrace. What are you crying for? The white-haired barmaid turned to that the magical seal was being drawn much slower now. The magical seal is being drawn much slower.
Huh, I guess Natsu was right after all.
Elfman said, greatly surprising his older sister.
What was Natsu right about?
Mira Jane asked, turning to face her brother again. He said that if we took out the elemental 4 members that the spell would lose power. Elfman explained, as a smirk spread across his face. And since there's only 2 elemental 4 members left, that spell has lost most of his power.
How'd he figure that out?
Mira Jane asked in a flabbergasted tone.
How had the Dragon Slayer figured something like that out? He recognized what spell this thing was casting after talking with you.
Elfman replied, causing Mira Jane's eyes to widen. From there he figured that the only thing that could be powering the spell was the Elemental 4's magic.
He was actually listening when we talked about forbidden spell?
Mira Jane thought, as a smile graced her face.
Well, you're just full of surprise, aren't you, Natsu?
The white-haired barmaid suddenly turned around, and started to make her way back towards Mobile Guildhall.
Let's go, Elfman. The other 2 have to be inside the guild somewhere. We need to head inside and try to find them.
All right.
Elfman yelled, quickly following after his older sister. Back inside Phantom Lord's Guild Hall. Man, that was close. Natsu thought, as he sprinted down a seemingly endless hallway. But if Elfman wasn't there, I wouldn't have been able to save Mira. One of your mates was in danger and you couldn't save her on your own. You must use all of your power to protect them. I was giving it everything I've got. Natsu thought angrily, listening to the voices in his head. No, you did not.
You so have much untapped power residing deep within you.
With that power, you'll be able to keep your mates safe. All you have to do is dig deep inside yourself and drag it out. Untapped power? Natsu thought, quickly rounding a corner in the hallway. With it, I'll be able to protect Lucy, Urza, and Mira? Natsu, are you all right? Happy asked, snapping the Dragon Slayer out of his thoughts.
The blue cat was starting to get worried about his best friend.
Natsu hadn't said a word since they re-entered Phantom Lord's Guild, and he had an angry look on his face. Yeah, I'm fine, Happy.
Natsu said, flashing Happy a bright grin. The Dragon Slayer saw the concerned look on Happy's face, and decided to try and take his mind of his worries.
Hey, I've got a great idea, buddy. If I can beat up Jose, this whole battle will be over, right? What are you saying?
Happy exclaimed, his eyes widening in shock.
Jose is as powerful as Master. There's no way you could be him, Natsu. But Ji-chan isn't here, so who else is gonna beat that bastard up? Natsu asked, cocking his head to the side. That's right, Master and Urza aren't here.
Happy said, his demeanor deflating instantly.
Someone is gonna have to fight Jose after all. I'm still here, buddy. Natsu said, patting Happy on the head. I'll take that son of a bitch down. Happy cheered, instantly perking back up.
I don't know why, but something about Natsu just fills me with hope. As the duo continued to run down the hallway, a strong wind started to blow past them.
How sad. A voice said, as a large figure appeared in the wind before them.
When the wings of flame rot away, yes, all that doth remain is a dragon's corpse.
Natsu, he's one of the Elemental 4.
Happy said, floating behind Natsu for protection.
Yeah. Natsu said, as he began to sniff the air.
The Dragon Slayer's eyes hardened, leveling a fierce glare at the man before them.
And this is the asshole that hurt Ji-chan. I am called Arya, strongest of the Elemental 4.
Arya said, as the winds surrounding him increased in intensity.
I have come to slay a dragon. Is that so? Natsu asked, coating his body in electricity. Let's see if this will work on this bastard too. Another area of Phantom Lord's Guild Hall. Rain. Gray said, as he climbed into another part of the mobile guild hall. I don't think it was raining before. Drip, drip, drop.
A feminine voice said in front of Gray. Looking up, Gray saw a blue-haired woman walking towards him.
Yes, Juvia, the woman of rain, of the Elemental 4. drip, drip, drop. So I finally found one of you, Gray said, glaring at the woman before him. Juvia didn't think you fairy tale mages would be able to defeat 2 of the elemental 4. Juvia said, continuing to stare Gray down. However, Juvia and Arya are not to be trifled with. Sorry, but I don't care if you're a woman or even a child, Gray said in a harsh tone, as the air chilled around him. I don't go easy on those who hurt my nakama. Juvia continued to stare at Gray, but her face slowly began to redden. Suddenly, Juvia turned around and began to walk the other way. Why, yes, I have lost this battle for sure. Whoa! 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 What the fuck is this? Gray exclaimed, staring at the Rain Woman in shock. Juvia has been afflicted. There is a strange fluttering in Juvia's heart, Juvia thought, as she clasped a hand over her rapidly beating heart. There has only been one other person to make Juvia feel like this. Oi, woman! You can damn well help stop this thing, Gray shouted, grabbing a hold of Juvia's shoulder. Juvia must make him mine, Juvia thought, swiftly turning to face Gray. There is no turning back now. The water mage swiped her arm, and Gray immediately became encased in a sphere of water. Water lock. But Juvia's eyes widened when she saw a large wound reopened on Gray's side. How could Juvia hurt him so? What should Juvia do? Juvia must release him at once. However, Juvia gasped in shock when her waterlock froze over and exploded. He froze Juvia's waterlock and shattered it to pieces. Juvia was so sure her waterlock couldn't be broken, Juvia thought, once again clasping a hand over her heart. He and Juvia, is this fate? So that's how you want to play, huh? Gray asked, tossing off his tattered shirt. Let's do this then. 10 minutes later. Ice geyser. Gray roared, freezing a torrent of water and encasing Juvia in ice. However, the ice suddenly shattered and Juvia began to fall towards the ground far below. Defeat. Juvia thought, falling towards what was her certain death. With this, everything will end. Like a raindrop, Juvia will fall to the ground and scatter away into tiny droplets, and end fitting an unwanted rain woman like Juvia. Farewell, Juvia's depressing self. Shit. I have to move fast or she'll die, Gray thought, as he frantically ran towards the falling woman. Sliding down a slope on the guild, Gray reached out to grab Juvia's hand. But Gray was just a moment too late, and he barely missed the falling girl's hand. No! I didn't make it in time. Several stories above where Gray and Juvia were, a wall above them exploded. Through the smoke and debris fell Natsu Dragneel. The dragon slayer grunted in pain, as he descended towards the earth below. Fuck, that bastard caught me off guard with that last attack, and now I'm fucking falling again. Natsu roared, straightening himself out. The dragon slayer prepared to use his flames to rocket back up towards where Arya was, but a familiar scent suddenly hit his nose. Turning around, Natsu's eyes widened when he saw a blue-haired woman falling towards the ground below. I have to help her quick. Instead of using his flames to shoot upwards, Natsu instead used the flames around his legs to propel himself towards the falling girl. This is it, goodbye cruel world, Juvia thought, feeling the ground rapidly approaching. The rain woman closed her eyes, and prepared for the impact. But it never came. Instead, Juvia felt herself fall into a strong pair of arms. Then the water mage felt herself flying back upwards. When she felt her savior land safely, Juvia hesitantly cracked an eye open. The first thing that Juvia noticed was that the rain had stopped, and was replaced by a beautiful clear sky. It's so beautiful, I haven't seen a sky so clear since. Hey! I thought it was you. A cheery voice snapped Juvia out of her thoughts. The rain woman turned to look at her savior. His face was briefly blocked by the shining sun, but the first thing Juvia saw was his infectious grin. I knew it was you, Rain go away girl. Long time no see. Juvia's ocean blue eyes widened when she heard that familiar nickname. Then she finally saw his face, that was framed by the bright sunlight behind him.
She then spotted his pink hair and scaled scarf that set him apart from others, and made him so unique. Tears of joy formed in Juvia's eyes, as she gazed at the man that had managed to clear up her rainy world 3 years ago. When he had eventually left her, her world had once again become filled with an endless rain shower.
Sunshine boy! Juvia exclaimed with tears streaming down her cheeks, pulling Natsu in for a tight hug.
The Dragon Slayer smiled warmly, holding the crying girl close to his chest.
Juvia has missed you so much. You finally brought sunshine back into Juvia's life. Am I interrupting something?
Gray asked, scratching the back of his head in confusion.
Chapter 18, Natsu's True Power Unleashed. Outside Fairy Tale's Guild Hall.
It's been way longer than 10 minutes, and that damn spell still has activated. Nab pointed out, clutching his bandaged arm.
This is driving me insane. When is this hell gonna end?
Lockie exclaimed, as she destroyed a wave of shadow soldiers with her would-make magic. Wiping some sweat from her brow, Lockie cast a glance over at the mechanical giant in front of them. Hey, that metal giant, it looks like it's moving a lot slower. Natsu and the others must be fighting their hardest in there to slow that thing down. Kana said to herself, gritting her teeth in annoyance. I wish I could be there with them, but I need to stay here and defend the guild. The most we can do is pray for their success.
Kana cast a nervous glance over at the giant when several explosions rang out. Natsu, you better make it back okay. Back with Natsu, Juvia, and Gray. Am I interrupting something?
Gray asked, scratching the back of his head in confusion.
Because it looks like you two know each other. Of course I know Juvia.
Natsu cheered, as he smiled at the blue-haired girl, who was still hugging him tightly. I met her 3 years ago, while on a mission with Urza.
Wait, you've met her before?
Gray questioned, quirking an eyebrow at the pink-haired dragon slayer.
Yes.
Juvia finally spoke, as she wiped the tears from her eyes.
Juvia has met Natsu before. He was the first person to bring sunlight into Juvia's life. Sunlight?
Gray parroted in a confused tone, scratching the side of his head.
What are you talking about?
Juvia's life has always been filled with an endless rain shower. Juvia explained, as she tightly gripped the front of Natsu's vest. Tears threatened to fall from the water mage's eyes as she recalled her previously lonely life. No one wanted to be around Juvia, they all thought Juvia was too depressing. Juvia suddenly released Natsu's vest from her grasp, and smiled warmly up at the dragon slayer. But Natsu was the first person who wanted to be around Juvia.
He didn't find Juvia's rain depressing like everyone else.
Because he was so kind, he managed to clear the rain that had surrounded Juvia's heart for so long.
Oi, flame brain. Gray said, getting the dual dragon slayer's attention.
Care to explain how you met this girl, because what she's saying has gotten me pretty curious.
Well, like I said, I met Juvia while on a mission with Urza 3 years ago.
X781, small village 10 miles north of Fairy Tale.
Will this rain ever let up? Urza asked, as she peered out the window of the room they had rented for the night.
It's been pouring like this for hours, and it's really starting to bum me out. Urza released a light sigh, and plopped down on the bed next to the window. We could have been home by now, but you insisted on us walking back, instead of taking the train.
Hey, it's not my fault that it started raining like this. Natsu said, gesturing to the rain outside the window.
Besides, you promised me we didn't have to take a damn train during this mission, and I'm gonna hold you to that.
TCH, you're so stubborn sometimes.
Urza groaned out, as she idly petted Happy, who was asleep on the bed next to her.
It's too bad Lisana couldn't come with us. She was always good at coming up with things to keep us occupied.
A slight blush spread across Urza's face, as she continued to stare out the window. This is the first time Natsu and I have had to share a room since we both got our own places. I mean, we don't have to share a bed like we used to, but it still feels weird sharing a room again, but not in a bad way. I don't know why, but my face keeps heating up and I get this weird fluttering feeling in my stomach whenever I think about us sharing a bed again. Yeah, but she went on a mission with Mira Jane and Elfman.
Natsu said, snapping Urza out of her thoughts.
The dual dragon slayer shivered slightly at the mention of Mirajane's name.
Anyways, I don't know what you're complaining about. I love the rain. Are you serious?
Urza asked, her voice filled with skepticism.
Yep.
Since I use fire and lightning dragon slayer magic, the rain feels so cool and refreshing against my naturally warm skin, and it also feels kinda tingly. Natsu explained with a grin, as he hopped off the bed and made his way towards the door.
Where are you going, Natsu? Urza asked, quickly sitting up in her bed. I'm going for a quick walk. Natsu replied, as he opened the door.
It's pouring rain out there, Natsu.
Urza reasoned, trying to persuade the dragon slayer from leaving.
You'll catch a cold for sure.
I don't catch colds, Urza. Natsu shot back with a toothy grin. Don't worry, Urza, I won't be gone too long.
With a quick wave, Natsu walked out of the room.
See you in a bit.
That boy. Urza sighed, before she buried her head in a pillow.
Why does he make my heart beat so fast? Ah, that feels nice.
Natsu said with a large smile on his face, as he let the cool rain hit his hot skin. The dragon slayer placed his hands in his pockets, while he continued to walk through the small village's streets. All around Natsu, people rushed past him, crowding under umbrellas to escape the pouring rain.
Come on, honey, let's get out of this damned rain. A man said, holding his wife close under the umbrella he was holding.
This depressing rain had to go and ruin our picnic. The woman shouted with scowl on her face, as she huddled closer to her husband.
TCH, it's just a little rain.
Natsu thought, just as the rain started to pour down even harder.
Man, it's really coming down now. Maybe I should start heading back to the room.
However, before could leave his trained ears picked up a distinct sound amongst the falling rain.
Is someone crying?
Natsu closed his eyes, and concentrated on distinguishing the sound from everything else he was hearing. After a few moments, Natsu pinpointed the noise, and realized that it was definitely a crying girl. She sounds just like. Natsu's mind flashed back to when he used to comfort Urza when she would cry in her sleep.
I have to help her.
The dragon slayer immediately took off running towards where he heard the crying coming from. It didn't take Natsu long to track the source of the sound down. The crying was coming from underneath a small bridge located in the village's park. Peeking underneath the bridge, Natsu spotted a blue-haired girl who appeared to be about his age. She had a blue Cossack hat on her head, and a small hand-stitched doll sat on the ground next to her. The girl's face was currently buried in her knees, as she continued to sob. Natsu immediately felt an invisible force calling out for him to comfort the girl, to see her smile. He had to brighten her day up somehow. So he quietly made his way over, and sat down next to the girl. However, he sat outside the bridge so that he was still sitting in the rain. Taking a deep breath, Natsu finally spoke to the girl. Hello.
Ha?
The girl, who had finally noticed someone had sat down next to her, muttered as she looked up. Natsu's heart broke when he saw the sadness in the girl's ocean blue eyes.
Who are you? I'm Natsu Dragneel. The dragon slayer introduced himself, flashing the girl a toothy grin. What's your name? Why are you even here?
The girl asked in a depressed tone, as she buried her face back into her knees.
Shouldn't you be running inside to get away from this depressing rain? Well, I heard someone crying, so I came to check things out. Natsu replied, scouting a little closer to the girl. Besides, I love the rain. Why you like Juvia's rain?
The girl asked, as she lifted her head slightly.
So your name's Juvia? That's a pretty name.
Natsu said, causing the blue-haired girl to lightly blush.
Why are you crying anyways, Juvia? Everyone thinks Juvia and her rain is depressing. So no one wants to be around Juvia, or be friends with her.
Juvia explained, as she wiped the tears from her cheeks.
But Juvia can't help the rain that surrounds her, Juvia can't stop it. Juvia just wants the rain to stop, so people will want to be her friend. I'll be your friend.
Natsu exclaimed with a large smile, causing Juvia's head to snap up.
You will? Juvia hesitantly asked, not fully believing what the pink-haired boy was saying. Of course. Everyone needs friends. Natsu cheered, moving even closer to Juvia.
The blue-haired girl blushed even harder when Natsu gently gripped her hand.
You said you want the rain to go away, right?
Yes. Juvia replied, as a few more tears escaped her eyes.
Juvia's life has been filled with rain for so long. Juvia just wants to see the sunshine and clear blue sky. Well, I might have a way to stop the rain,
Natsu said, causing Juvia's eyes to widen.
My dad Igneel taught me a song that's supposed to make the rain go away.
You just keep singing, and eventually the rain will stop.
That will work? Juvia asked somewhat skeptically, as Natsu gave her hand a gentle squeeze.
I worked whenever Igneel and I did it, so I don't know why it won't work now.
Natsu replied, shrugging his shoulders. I'll go first, then you can jump in the second time. You ready? Seeing Juvia nod, Natsu took a deep breath. Rain, rain, go away. Come again some other day. Little Johnny wants to play. In the meadow by the hay. Rain, rain, go away. Never show your face again. Rain, rain, pour down. But not a drop on our town.
Finishing the song, Natsu smiled at Juvia.
Do you think you can join in this time? Juvia will try.
Juvia said, as she laid her head against Natsu's shoulder.
Alright, let's go again, both of us this time. Natsu said, leaning his head against Juvia's. Rain, rain, go away. Come again some other day. Little Johnny wants to play. In the meadow by the hay. Rain, rain, go away. Never show your face again. Rain, rain, pour down. But not a drop on our town. Both Natsu and Juvia repeated the short song several times in a row.
Juvia knew a silly little song wouldn't stop her rain, but she didn't really care. She just enjoyed being in the presence of another person.
Juvia was content just sitting next to the Dragon Slayer, and feeling his warmth envelope her.
It had been so long since Juvia had spoken to another person, even longer since she had one call her a friend. She would often stitch dolls to keep her company, just so she had someone to talk to. But as Juvia sat next to Natsu, repeating the children's song over and over, a miracle seemed to happen. After the 10th time singing the song, Juvia closed her eyes and a smile spread across her face. She didn't care if the rain stopped anymore. Juvia was simply happy that she had found a friend. Someone who didn't care about the rain that surrounded her, and truly wanted to be with her. On the 11th time the silly rhyme was sung, a few tears of happiness slipped from Juvia's eyes. Then all of a sudden Juvia noticed something. She couldn't hear the soft pitter-patter of the rain falling anymore. Cracking an eye open, Juvia was shocked to see that the rain had indeed appeared to stop.
And Natsu!
Juvia exclaimed, as she shot to her feet. The girl ran out from under the bridge, and was bathed in bright sunlight.
It worked! It really worked! I told you it would! Natsu said with a toothy grin, standing back up onto his feet.
The Dragon Slayer walked up to Juvia, who was gazing up at the clear sky above.
It's so beautiful,
Juvia said, as she stared in awe at the stunning blue sky.
Juvia has never seen a sky so perfect and clear. Yeah, it sure is pretty, Natsu said, staring up at the sky as well.
When Natsu cast a glance over at Juvia, he was surprised to see that tears were streaming down her cheeks.
Juvia, why are you crying?
Huh? Juvia said, as she touched a hand to her cheek. She was surprised to feel that she was crying.
It must be because Juvia is so happy. Crying because you're happy?
That's pretty weird,
Natsu said, rubbing the back of his head.
The Dragon Slayer was surprised when he felt someone embrace him. Looking down, Natsu saw Juvia hugging him tightly.
Thank you,
Juvia whispered, as she buried her head into Natsu's vest.
There's no need to thank me, Natsu said, patting Juvia on the back. It's what friends do. You really meant what you said? You'll be Juvia's friend?
Juvia hesitantly asked, as she locked eyes with Natsu.
Of course. Natsu exclaimed with a wide grin.
Now Rain, go away girl, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Sure thing, sunshine boy.
Juvia said, as a bright smile spread across her face.
Back in the present.
I managed to convince Urza to stay in the village a few more days, so that I could spend time with Juvia. Natsu explained, as he gazed down at the blue-haired girl. But on the day we were supposed to head back to Fairy Tale, you just vanished, Juvia.
I couldn't find you anywhere.
When Juvia found out you were leaving, Juvia decided that it was best to just leave.
Juvia said, avoiding Natsu's gaze. Juvia didn't want to go through the pain of saying goodbye. So Juvia left without saying anything, and was eventually recruited by Phantom Lord. But without Natsu, Juvia's heart was once again surrounded by rain. You could have come with us, Natsu said, placing a hand on top of Juvia's. You can still come with us.
Leave this guild, and join Fairy Tale. You may have been our enemy at one point, but we'll welcome you in with open arms.
Oi Natsu, slow down for a second,
Gray said, as he placed his hands in his pockets. You may know this girl, but she is a member of the Elemental Four. We can't trust her so easily.
Shut your damn mouth, Gray, Natsu growled, surprising the Ice Mage.
The Dragon Slayer wasn't surprised when he felt a familiar force compelling him to defend Juvia. He had felt it when he first met the girl, and it was even stronger now. I trust Juvia, and I know she won't try anything.
Gray and Natsu immediately entered into an intense stare down, both mages daring the other to back down.
Gray was shocked at how intense the Dragon Slayer's eyes were, and decided it was best not to push him any further.
TCH, fine, you win. If you say we can trust her, then I guess there's no budging your stubborn ass,
Gray said, as he broke eye contact with Natsu.
But I'm still gonna keep an eye on her. Fine by me, Natsu said, before returning his attention back to Juvia. So what do you say? Want ditch this shitty guild, and join the badasses in Fairy Tale?
Juvia doesn't. Juvia began to stutter and stammer as tried to make up her mind. The water mage's face started to burn bright red, and after a few more moments she passed out.
Juvia!
Natsu shouted, scared by the girl suddenly falling unconscious.
She's fine, flame brain, Gray said, walking up to the Dragon Slayer. She just passed out. I knocked her around pretty good in our fight.
Add the excitement of seeing you after so long, it must have wore her out.
Yeah, you're probably right, Natsu said, as he gently laid Juvia down on the ground. Gray! Natsu!
A voice exclaimed from behind the duo. Both Fairy Tale mages turned around to see Mira Jane and Elfman running towards them.
Elfman? And Mira-chan? What's she doing here?
Gray asked, scratching the side of his head.
Did you guys take out another member of the Elemental Four? Elfman asked, as he glanced down at Juvia.
Yes, and it turns out that Natsu knows her,
Gray said, releasing a light sigh. You know this girl Natsu?
Mira Jane asked, as she spotted the small smile that was spread across Juvia's face. Looks like we may have another girl on our hands already.
Yeah, I met her a few years back. But there's no time to get into that now,
Natsu said, cracking his knuckles and rolling his shoulders.
There's only one Elemental Four mage left, right?
Mira Jane asked, earning a nod from Natsu.
Sure is, and it's the bastard that hurt Ji-chan, Natsu growled, as he gazed farther up the mechanical giant. You guys watch after Juvia, I'm going to take this asshole out.
Encasing his legs in flames, Natsu rocketed towards the hole he had been blown out of earlier, with Happy following closely behind him.
Natsu, please be careful,
Mira Jane thought, as she clutched a hand over her heart.
Near the top of Phantom Lord's mechanical giant. Rag!
Natsu roared, bursting back in through the hole he had fallen through.
The Dragon Slayer's attack was so sudden that it caught Arya completely off guard. Lightning Dragon Iron Fist. An electrified punch caught Arya in the chin and sent the last Elemental 4 member tumbling backwards.
That's for making me fall down a building, you fucking bastard.
I'm quite impressed that you survived that fall,
Arya said, as he wiped some blood from the corner of his mouth.
You're a fascinating specimen. Fuck you.
Natsu screamed, charging towards Arya with his entire body encased in lightning.
Haven't you learned anything, you fool? You cannot deflect all of my airspace magic,
Arya taunted, as he thrust his arms forward. Suddenly Natsu was forced to the ground, as an invisible barrage of wind slammed into him.
Your lightning may be able to cut through my airspace magic,
but I can make so much of it that you can't possibly deflect it all, and it's invisible, making it impossible for you to predict where it's going to hit.
Natsu had the upper hand at first.
But now that he knows Natsu's magic can cut through his own, he's really laying into Natsu now.
Happy thought, watching the fight from behind a pillar. You're still getting up, Salamander? Arya asked, as Natsu struggled onto his feet.
I can't let a piece of shit like you beat me,
Natsu said, releasing a shake breath. I'm a mage of fairy tale after all.
The Dragon Slayer grinned wickedly, and spit some blood from his mouth.
Your attacks aren't even hurting me, they're just pissing me off. Is that so? Then let's see how you like this,
Arya said, as he extended one of his hands.
Airspace Setsu.
Suddenly the air surrounding Natsu began to explode.
The Dragon Slayer quickly cloaked his body in lightning, but all it seemed to do was cushion the countless blows. Natsu was forced down onto one knee, as the explosions continued.
There will always be someone stronger than you, my young dragon.
Shut up! Natsu roared, his cheeks bulging with electricity. Lightning Dragon's Roar. A stream of powerful lightning flew towards Arya. However, Arya simply vanished into thin air.
Where the hell did he go?
Natsu began to frantically sniff the air, as he tried to pinpoint Arya's location. It's all over for you now, Salamander. Arya's disembodied voice echoed out from all around Natsu.
You're about to experience the same pain as your poor master.
Natsu clenched his teeth in anger at the mention of Makarov being hurt.
The Dragon Slayer felt a rush of wind blow behind him. Airspace Setsu, you shall be reduced to pure nothingness.
That's what you think,
Natsu said, before he quickly spun around to face Arya.
Lightning Dragon's Iron Fist. Natsu's lightning-covered fist launched Arya into the air. Now Urza. Right as the words left Natsu's mouth, Arya's attack struck, slamming the Dragon Slayer into the ground. Before Arya could hit the ground, a boot smashed into his face. The last member of the Elemental 4 crashed into the ground, just as an armored figure landed in front of Natsu. Ha, I knew you'd come, Urza.
Happy cheered, as the scarlet-haired knight stood protectively in front of Natsu.
I couldn't let you fight alone again, Natsu, Urza said, glaring fiercely at Arya. Are you sure you should be fighting with your wounds? Natsu asked, causing a small smirk to spread across Urza's face. You're more injured than me. Sure, I'm still a little worn out from earlier, but I can fight,
Urza said, as her eyes filled with determination. The scarlet-haired knight once again turned to face Arya. The air around Titania seemed to chill, as she gazed the enemy mage an icy glare. So this is the guy who hurt Master.
How very sad, Arya said, standing back onto his feet.
The necks of both the Salamander and Titania have been handed to me, it'll be such a shame to snap them. The one who dared to touch our master, Urza said, her voice slowly filling with anger.
Was this man right? Urza. Natsu breathed out, as he watched Urza tightly clench her fists. Ha ha ha.
Arya laughed, beginning to undo the bandages covering his eyes.
If I'm going to fight against the mighty Urza.
Arya smiled as he tossed away the bandages that had covered his eyes. Even I shall have to take this fight seriously.
Several floors below. His eyes?
Gray exclaimed, as he sprinted down a hall with Mara Jane and Elfman.
Yes, Arya has always kept his eyes closed, Mara Jane explained, quickly rounding a corner.
Apparently keeping them closed is the only way he can keep his immense power under control.
What the hell?
Elfman exclaimed, as his eyes widened in shock.
Anyways, if we run into Arya, we have to defeat him before he opens his eyes,
Mirajane said, as she clenched her teeth.
If he does, we may lose any hope of winning this fight.
Hearing several explosions ring out above them, Mirajane gazed up at the ceiling.
Natsu, you can do this, I believe in you. Back with Urza and Natsu. Come at me, Titania.
Arya taunted with a twisted smile, revealing his glowing eyes.
I have cast the airspace of death, 0. This airspace consumes all life. Urza could hear Natsu struggling to breath behind her.
The scarlet-haired knight was clenching her fists so tightly that she felt her nails pierce the skin of her palms.
Magic that consumes life?
Urza asked in a shaky voice, her scarlet locks hiding the fury in her eyes.
Why do you bastards find it so easy to steal people's lives? Enough of this, let's have some fun now.
Arya said with a demented grin on his face. A sword quickly materialized in Urza's hand, and she charged towards Arya.
I wonder how long you'll survive in this airspace. Urza?
Natsu shouted in worried tone, as he watched Urza race towards Arya. However, Natsu's eyes slowly widened when he saw Urza begin to slash through the air surrounding her.
No way. It can't be. Arya exclaimed, taking a hesitant step back.
She's cutting right through my airspace.
Arya's eyes widened when Urza's entire body began to glow. Re-equip. Heaven's Wheel armor.
Urza roared, slashing through Arya with a sword in both hands.
Blumenblatt.
Suddenly a barrage of swords materialized behind Urza and struck Arya. Natsu and Happy both watched in shock as Arya fell to the ground, defeated.
Master could never have been defeated by a disgrace like you. That farce will never appear in your story.
Outside, in behind Fairy Tail's guild hall.
Most of the defending Fairy Tail mages scattered for cover, as they prepared for Abyss Break to activate.
Every mage dove behind any piece of cover they could find.
Everybody get down!
Max yelled, as he rushed behind a pile of rubble.
This isn't something we can survive by ducking our heads.
Loki shouted, forming a wooden barrier to hide behind.
Wait!
Kana exclaimed, when she saw the giant's arms begin to break. The Fairy Tail mages watched in awe as large portions of the mechanical giant began to fall apart.
Then loud cheers broke out when the giant magical circle looming over their heads disappeared.
Kana quickly wiped away a tear that had formed in her eye.
Natsu, you guys really pulled it off.
Back inside the Phantom Lord Guild Hall, Natsu slowly rose to his feet. Within seconds, he was rushing towards Urza.
Hey!
The scarlet-haired knight collapsed right into the Dragon Slayer's arms.
Urza! Come on Urza, say something. Giant's control room. Impossible.
Jose roared, as he slammed his down onto the desk in front of him.
Those pieces of fairy trash take down all of the Elemental Four?
The Phantom Lord mages behind Jose all cowered in fear.
Where is Gajiel?
Well, the truth is,
we have no clue.
I'm right here, Master. A gruff voice said from behind Jose. Everyone turned to see Gajiel walking into the room, carrying what appeared to be an unconscious blonde girl. The girl was battered and covered in numerous cuts and bruises.
The Elemental Four were wiped out? A smirk spread across Gajiel's face.
Well, if they were beaten by trash, then I guess that makes them trash too. Gee, I guess you should have just sent me out there in the first place.
Gajiel then roughly tossed the blonde girl onto the ground. Here, I brought you a present, Master. Lucy? But how? Jose asked, shocked to see his target had been captured by the Iron Dragon Slayer. Don't underestimate the nose of a Dragon Slayer,
Gajiel said, as he tapped his nose.
But Gajiel-san, is she even alive?
A phantom mages asked, gazing down at the unconscious girl. Gajiel hummed, as he rubbed his chin.
Without warning, Gajiel violently kicked Lucy in the stomach.
The blonde girl went tumbling across the floor, sputtering and coughing up a mouthful of blood. Several floors below Gojil, Natsu suddenly felt an aching pain in his chest. The Dragon Slayer took a shaky breath as he clutched a hand over his rapidly beating heart.
Why do I feel like Lucy is in trouble? Oi, Gojil. Stop that man. You might actually kill her. Gee, looks like she's alive to me. Gajil said, sneering down at Lucy. Though that fat ass that was with her might be dead. As expected of the strongest man in my guild. Jose said with a devious smirk. Nice job, Gajil-san. Fairy Tail's secret hideout. Read us. Lok exclaimed, as he burst into Fairy Tail's hideout. Lok's eyes widened when he saw a battered and beaten Ritas lying on the ground. Oi! Read us. Pull yourself together. Where's Lucy? What happened here? Sorry, I couldn't. Rita struggled to say, tears flowing down his cheeks. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. She was taken? Lok breathed out, before he clenched his teeth. I had a feeling something like this would happen. But, I was too afraid to come and help, damn it. I'm the worst. Lok's eyes suddenly widened when he remembered something, causing a chill to run down his spine. I feel sorry for any person Natsu runs into when he finds out they've taken Lucy again. Fairy Tail Guild Hall. All of you Fairy Tail members out there. Jose's voice echoed out across the area. We have succeeded in capturing Lucy. No! They found our secret hiding spot. Mira Jane exclaimed, as she began to panic slightly. They captured Lucy again? Natsu said angrily, beginning to grit his teeth. Our first objective has been completed. Jose said with a smirk, as he dragged Lucy over by her hair. Aha! Lucy's scream pierced through the air, causing everyone's hearts to drop. I'm sure you all heard this bitch's screams. Jose said, roughly throwing Lucy onto the ground. But we have one more remaining objective. The mages defending Fairy Tail all gasped when Jose's shadow soldiers began to morph. Without warning, the new shadow soldiers began to cut through the Fairy Tail mages. All we have to do now is slaughter all of you disgusting fairies. What the hell is up with these guys? They suddenly became a hell of a lot stronger. Kana was caught off guard by the sudden commotion, and was hit by one of Shadow soldiers. Quickly recovering, Kana destroyed the ghost with a dozen exploding tarot cards. Don't give up. We have to defend the guild at all costs. Fight till your last breath. Keep an eye on Lucy for me. Jose told Gajil, as he turned to leave the room. A few worms seem to be running around our guild. I shall have to let them know that they will be seeing no more miracles. I will kill them myself. With Natsu and Urza. Hearing Lucy scream like that caused something to snap inside of Natsu. The Dragon Slayer's heart was beating so fast that he felt it would burst out of his chest at any moment. Natsu's pupils completely dilated, and he began to shake in almost uncontrollable rage. These bastards had dared to lay a finger on his girl. Taking her in the first place was bad enough. But now they had hurt her, and Natsu planned to make them pay blood for blood. He would shred through them and make them wish they had never been born. They've hurt your mate. You must make them pay. You must dig deep inside yourself, and drag out your power. Then you must use that power to slaughter them. Natsu? Urza's weak voice snapped Natsu out of his stupor. The scarlet-haired knight raised her hand and gently cupped Natsu's cheek. Release your power, there is so much untapped power within you, believe in yourself, like I believe in you, call it forth, and awaken it. Even your other mate sees the power residing within you. Listen to her and call upon it. The time is right. Urza said, as her hand fell from Natsu's face. Lucy, the guild, you must protect them. Urza tightly gripped the front of Natsu's vest and locked eyes with him. Now go, Natsu. You're the one who will surpass me. She's right. Natsu thought, gently laying Urza down against a pillar. Another piercing scream from Lucy suddenly rang out from above. For Lucy, for Urza, for Lisena, for Fairy Tail, I will drag out every ounce of power I have in me.
Natsu dug deep inside himself, as he felt his anger reach a level it had never reached before. The temperature in the room suddenly spiked, and an enormous amount of magic began to gather around Natsu. Urza felt as if her armor would start to melt, as she began to sweat profusely. The scarlet-haired knight felt all her limbs go weak, when Natsu's incredible magical energy enveloped her. Drag it out. Unleash your power. Destroy those who hurt your mate. Raya Haga. Natsu roared, feeling an invisible barrier burst, allowing new more powerful magical energy to flow through his body. Then to Urza and Happy's shock, brilliant blue flames exploded of the Dragon Slayer. The intense flames were so hot that they scorched the walls on the other side of the room. The bright blue flames changed and morphed around Natsu, until they took the form of a giant dragon. What are those flames? Urza thought, as she had to shield her faces from the intense fire. They're so hot, I've never seen or felt anything like them before. Without warning, Natsu shot forward down the hall, creating a large shockwave as he rocketed forward. The Dragon Slayer was moving so fast that Happy had a hard time keeping up with him. Brilliant blue flames encased Natsu's entire body, as he raced through the halls, completely melting everything they touched. I'm going to destroy them all. Natsu thought, sprinting towards where he knew Lucy and Gajiel would be. I'll make him pay, for everything. That wraps up this part of What If Natsu Had Dual Elements. Thanks so much for listening. As always, new parts drop every 4 days, so be sure to stay tuned. Quick reminder. What if Dragon Deck user in Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal and What If Reborn as a Goku clone are now on hold, since we've caught up with the author. So now, I need your help picking the next project for the channel. I'm currently deciding between these 3 fanfics. What if Gacha system in Modern Family World? What if Fusion Deck user in a different Yu-Gi-Oh! GX? What if Transmigrated in One Piece and becoming a Marine? Please vote in the poll and let me know which story you'd like to see next. I'll take the top 2 picks and start working on those 2 series next. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released 1 day ahead of YouTube. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and please consider supporting the original author as well. See you in the next one.